I'm going to answer this question from Blake. How are you all deciding on what work stays deeply human versus what you hand off to AI? I think the big thing is when it comes to building relationships, when it comes to positioning your brand, when it comes to doing events, it needs to feel natural. It needs to feel human. Using AI is great as a starting point. It's great as a thought partner. It's great as an editor, but it's not necessarily great at helping you from end to doing everything. So make sure you're mixing human elements in with the AI work that you're doing. From Rachel, we've discussed 10 plus new tools on this call, probably more. All are incredible. I agree. What are the best 3 to start to learn? I think it depends on your role. I think it depends on your company. I think that something that is working really right now, this isn't a tool, but thought leadership ads are working really well. And I don't work for LinkedIn. In fact, I don't at all. And LinkedIn drives me nuts in a lot of ways, even though I spend a lot of time there. But boosting thought leader ads is such a way to take content that you're creating and give it more, extend its life, get it shown to the right people. And it's actually pretty cost effective. And so that's not a tool, but I highly recommend you do thought leadership ads. On the tool side, again, Dane was mentioning 5 categories of tools that I really think you should try. He calls them AI primitives. I recently wrote, or just last week, I wrote a newsletter about upskilling or about what to do if you're like looking for a job. And there's a bunch of tool suggestions in there. But basically, it's more like the categories of things I think you should do. I think you should go vibe code something or build something, whether that's a Gamma presentation or a site in Framer or a tool in Lovable or an internal tool in something like Retool that's in our perk stack with a discount. Go build something. Vibe code basically means no code, essentially. Spin up something, even if it's not for work, even if it's something for your personal life. Make something that, tracks your kids, like, Santa wish list. I don't know. That's so random. I don't have children, but I don't know why Santa's wish list is on my mind, but it was. There's a whole list of ideas and things you can build in that newsletter that are better than the Santa list tracker. I don't know. Guess I got Christmas on the brand. Go vibe code something. Enrich data, whether that's you have access to something like Unify and you play around with building out campaigns on signals, or you go into Clay where Ting Ting works and build out a list of companies you want to apply to and enrich them. Practice enriching something. So vibe code something. Practice enriching something. I had someone I advised, they've been asking her to make videos at her company. And she's been like, I'm trying to hire a contractor to do this and this. I'm like, just go today and make a video. Go today and record someone on your team talking, put the background of your product behind it, go into CapCut, Descript, Riverside, tool of your choice, and make a short form video. Just do it. And so make videos. The answer is now going to be like the whole 15 minutes, but I think it's a good question. Go vibe code something, enrich some data, and build a workflow like Zapier. Connect the dots. Zapier, Relay. You can actually do workflows in Profound now if you have that. A lot of tools are building it in. You can build out, like Tofu has workflows, like all of these tools have workflows built in. So you're going to see with AI, you see a lot of enrichment, you see a lot of ability to generate content, and you see the ability to create workflows. So you want to be practicing all of those things. Generate content, build workflows to connect the dots. And that's what Gen marketers do really well. Connect the dots, workflow tools help you. And so those are the ways I would recommend using it, regardless of the tools you choose. And again, newsletter has all these tools, and we have a go-to-market tools library that you can check out and perk stack for guidance. How do we convince CEOs, boards who want channel-based reporting, last touch, and instead educate them on blended CAC? The short answer is that you give them both. You give them the channel by channel reporting, how this is doing, but you have to start shifting the conversation and saying, we're thinking about channel efficacy, but we're actually thinking about how all of this works together, because we really think it's like a journey to get to the sale. And there's lots of touch points that matter. So we're going to give you this channel reporting, but we're also going to give you campaign influence reporting, which campaigns touch the accounts before the account was closed. And we're going to give you that. And then we're also going to give you blended CAC. And I actually think that investors and boards actually care a lot and understand metrics like CAC. So they care about CAC ratio, they care about LTV to CAC, they care about payback periods. They really understand the idea of CAC, and they understand how that changes over time. And so I have a forecasting tool and a budget tool that looks at some of these metrics, these efficiency metrics that boards and things care about, like LTV to CAC and like CAC ratio and payback period and those things. And those metrics investors do care about. So I feel like it's just a matter of giving them a little bit of what they need, and then starting, if you're in board meetings regularly or talking to investors regularly or talking to your founders regularly, talking to sales regularly, give them a little bit of what they want, and then just slowly start shifting the conversation to, there's another way we can look at this too to get a different view. And the one thing I would say when having conversations with sales about metrics is make it clear, hey, this has nothing to do with like your commissions or how we're crediting you, or let's just look at this from another lens to add to our understanding. But make it clear that you're not trying to change up the whole system, because sales will get upset when you start talking about attribution if their, say, a BDR is compensated based on meetings scheduled. So for all of these conversations, remember the context of what that person cares about. And the board, for instance, does care about some of these high-level efficiency metrics. I like this question. Platforms like Tofu and Unify and even Clay seem to rely heavily on cold outbound email sequences as a key aspect of a platform campaign. Meanwhile, cold outbound effectiveness is dropping and fast, and email platforms are cracking down and moving those messages to spam. Plus, GDPR makes this harder, and also the EU. This is not in the question, but the EU has more rules on this. Would love to dig into this more. Yeah, great question. I think the thing that is really feeling spammy and over is completely cold outbound, where you're just finding an account, you're not even really enriching it, you're just spamming the universe. That is really just tired and not working and spammy and was more likely to get flagged that way. I think what's not overdone yet, and I still think people are figuring out, is figuring out the best ways to use warm outbound based on signals for your specific company. And again, that doesn't mean, hey, I saw that you visited my website. Do you want a demo right now? That is not the right balance of fuel and engine. That is like, you just have this engine, you want to reach them back to this thing, but you're not thinking about what to put in there. So I think what works is things like I like to use, this isn't exactly cold email, but it's similar. I like to use the LinkedIn example. Someone comments on your post and your post was about Gen marketers. You could follow up immediately on that comment with a DM that's, hey, I'm hosting this conference. You want to come? It's paid, but you can go for free, like whatever it might be. So you want to find something super relevant and super valuable to follow up with. So I think a lot of the problem with outbound has been that there's no fuel in that engine. People are just building this engine without the right fuel. And so the great thing about using intent signals is that you can, or being able to enrich the accounts and have a lot of information with signals and just even demographic details and behavioral details about those companies and contacts, is you can use that to make more personalized and relevant fuel. And so I still think there's a place for that, but yeah, we do have more rules. Things are being flagged as spam and all of these things, and deliverability is way down. There are tools that help you with deliverability, but I think this also speaks to, the best thing you can do for deliverability is actually lower your volume, but lower your volume to the accounts that matter. And this goes back to my point about doing account-specific things. Figure out the accounts that are most important to you and be more precise on who you're reaching. And therefore, your volume will go down, but your efficacy will go way up. And so that's how I think about it. Okay. So there's just a better way to do outbound. It relies on signals. It's what Unify is all about. And then don't just use outbound, use many channels and figure out the best channel by type of account and the best fuel that goes with each of those channels. And that's what Tofu is really great at, is personalizing that content for you. You have a chance to edit it and fix it, but personalizing it by account and getting it across channel. Should every brand start doing creator influencer partnerships? No. Every brand should map their ecosystem. Figure out who in their world has access to your audience already and has trust and credibility with your audience. This is the ecosystem marketing thing that I talk about and I wrote about in Lenny's newsletter. But the idea of figuring out who has the attention of your audience, who has direct paths to your audience, you're basically making your audience, your ecosystem partners, marketers. And for some people, that's influencers. In marketing, influencers are a great place to tap. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of us who are marketers. We're naturally like want to be influencers, all of that stuff. And so there are those to tap. In some industries, there just aren't. And so it's who are the influencers, if not creators? It could be the agencies, like it could be accountants as an easy example, or lawyers, or it could be a trade association, or it could be some of your customers. So at Carta, for example, we did tons through lawyers, and it wasn't immediately obvious that you could sell through lawyers, but we did, and that was a huge part of our business. And influencers in the broadest sense of the word, yes, you should work with them. You should work with people who influence your audience, who already have the reach and credibility. But is that necessarily a creator influencer? I think it can work, and it can be a fast path to test a lot of things and learn how your audience speaks and who they want to hear from, but not always. So yes, maybe. How does integrated marketing fit into the Gen marketer's remit? Integrated marketing is, in my opinion, like an original form of Gen marketer. Integrated marketers run campaigns across channels and bring things together. And that's a huge part of the Gen marketer skill set, the ability to run campaigns. I was calling this a year or so ago. I was like, every team needs a producer. It's the same concept. You need someone who's connecting the dots together. People with Gen Marketer skill sets or people with the Gen Marketer title will be those connectors. They're connecting campaigns. They're figuring out what works across all of marketing, turning disparate activities into connected campaigns and workflows and flywheels and loops. That is what they, by using AI, taking audience first approach, being nimble and fast and recognizing that a lot can do with the help of AI, external help, not huge internal teams. And so it's an extension of that, essentially. Someone's asking right now in the chat about the producer role. So the producer role is something that I'm still championing, but producer is really just so often in marketing, teams are held back because of just all the logistics of producing things and running campaigns. And so the idea is you could have a creative producer or even just a producer in general. It's more of a campaign manager that is even a more junior person that is just working on connecting all these dots and making sure like the trains are running on time and running smoothly. And so often that work oddly falls to the head of marketing, which can be a huge time suck. Like the biggest lift for me when I was a head of marketing was hiring these people who were like, they had different titles, but chief of staff, producer, coordinator, campaign manager, someone to help me put it all together, move things along, move the different agencies along, move the creative process along. And so that's what I mean by producer or now Gen marketers. Just like dot connectors are so needed right now to manage the contractors, to manage all the creative that you can produce, which is so much more, to manage all the channels you can use. And now you have to be nimble across more channels. So having these people that are like the conductors or the quarterbacks, or we were joking earlier, the shooting guards in basketball, or maybe it's the small forward, who knows? But finding these people that can orchestrate across all of this is such an unlock for people to be able to then have time to just do the work that really matters in the creative work. I typically work at 0 to 1 startups, currently at an AI startup, and I'm trying to find high value users for AI products. My belief is we should focus on brand to stand out, but my founders mostly focus on driving towards product market fit, which is not wrong, but I find it hard to explain the sequencing. Huge chicken and egg problem with, do I build a brand or do I get product market fit? It won't matter if you have a brand if you never have a product that people don't want. And if you have a product that people do want, but you don't have a brand, it's hard to get more people to it. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg, but the thing that lasts longer than your product is your brand. Lots of companies pivot, add new features, change things up. And if you have a brand that is a couple layers out from what you plan to do, that can last through the pivots. And so if you don't have product market fit yet, but you have a general space where you're operating now, or you have a founder or some executives that are willing to put themselves out there, building that up now, building up the founder brand, building up content, building things up, like that's going to last you through those cycles. So yeah, you have to focus on finding some people to test your product and design partners or initial customers to test the waters. And that's important. But I just think, especially at the time where you're still like, are we going to pivot? Are we going to find product market fit? Building that brand makes sense because it's going to endure even if you do that. Unless you pivot completely to something different. But even then, the founder brand or the executive brands and the community and people that they've networked with will matter. So that's my take on that. Thank you so much for your engagement. Thank you for being paid subscribers and part of the Market One community. Thank you if you stayed for the whole 4 hours or even just 30 minutes. It's been a great year for Market One. I am just overwhelmed. There's so many things I can do and so many directions I can go, but obviously I want to keep it small and high quality, and that's always my goal. So thank you for being part of the community. It has been crazy to see how this thing has grown. And thank you to Hallie and Katie for being the behind the scenes people that are my Gen marketers, able to do everything and help me with everything. So thank you so much. I appreciate it all. I hope you have a great holiday season. I am honored that you all spent your day with me in a busy month during near holiday seasons. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And Dinosaur has been on my lap for all 4 hours, and this little curmudgeon says thank you too. So have a good rest of your day. Thank you.